Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is Friday. Happy Friday to you all. We've made it towards almost the weekend. Although, in Chicago, sorry, another big truck going by. In Chicago and a lot of parts of the Midwest, a lot of companies have summer hours. I know I always tried to do that at my business, where every Friday or every other Friday, depending on how busy things really got, if it was possible, try and cut off early for Friday afternoon so people could, start their summer weekends a little bit earlier. So hopefully the weekend has started for you already. If not, hopefully it's starting soon. But either way, we're pretty much there. If not there, congratulations. It's August 7th, 2020, and it's a beautiful day here in Iowa. It's supposed to be getting hotter, and it's kind of warming up a little bit, but still really pleasant temperatures out. It's people are already like complaining that it feels like fall already, but I'm like, don't worry, it'll come back. It's gonna be hot. They say it's supposed to be really hot tomorrow and Sunday, so we'll see how it all goes. How is everybody else here doing? We got Timmy Pim, not really Hank Aaron. Let's see, Jonathan Fan, Chris Yao. Because I wish I could grow facial hair like that. I wish that I could grow facial hair like this. It took, a world-changing event for me to be able to grow a mustache. So, pretty much had to move heaven and earth before this could happen. But, I wouldn't say it was worth it, but it's a silver lining maybe, I suppose. Yeah. Let's see. Louis Becerra's here says, yo, what's going on? And Roadrunner Reviews, JC's back, had a 2-day absence. It's okay. He says, facial hair game is strong. My brother-in-law came the other day. I think I mentioned it to you guys. And he was here. He came by to pick up a saw from my father-in-law. And he's been growing. I think he's shaved it once or twice, but he can grow like a Duck Dynasty level beard. And his has been like somewhat trimmed. But he's a teacher, and so he's thinking that, he's probably got to trim it a little bit more because at least what the plans are now, he's going to have to be teaching in person. And I think he's worried that his masks don't fit properly over his giant beard. So he's going to be trimming it soon. But, like, as much as I felt like, I feel like I've done a pretty good job, like, cultivating all this going on here. Like, he shows up and he's just like, boom, like, full, like, facial hair. Oh, well. It's okay. It's like I say, with heat, speed, cold, there's always someone that's faster, someone that runs with hotter temperatures, or someone that runs in colder temperatures. There's always someone else. It's okay. Pete G 1980 says, what beer are you drinking tonight? I'm not drinking beer yet. I'm still on noon for now. But tonight I'll probably have some 312s. We've got some of that in the house. The beer's in the house. You know what? I might have some summer shandies. Leinenkugels action. It's very sweet. I feel like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I'm getting older, but the older I get, the sweeter summer shandies seem to take. All right, you want to show everybody something? Okay. Here, the camera's up here. All right. Yep. Cool. What do you do with that?
Put money.
You put money? Is it a purse?
No, it's a money holder.
A money holder. Okay. Awesome. Great. Okay. Thank you. All right, sorry for the interruption. You just had to show you guys. We found, my sister-in-law came, and she apparently has been cleaning out her basement. And so, she didn't come inside. All these interactions are happening out in the lawn. But she came by and dropped over like a couple like plastic bins full of toys, which are all like her age appropriate. So she's been pretty excited. Plus her birthday's coming up, so she just thinks everything's her birthday present. But PG, I'm probably gonna have some Leinenkugels today, some summer shandies. What are you gonna have? Let's see, Bert, I guess, says, just moved. Heat wave going on in Belgium. Went for a run in the forest, and it's a bit cooler. Yeah, it's amazing how much more temperature regulating forests can be. It's amazing. But I didn't realize you were having a heat wave over there. Let's see. David Sack says, what's going on? Listening to the live stream while out on a run. Very cool. TJM Run says, give me 40 degrees any day, optimal running temp for me anyway. Very cool. J Trumpet 2211 says, that sounds like a campaign. J Trumpet 2211. Although that would never work because it's an odd number. But he says, greetings from Newport News, Virginia. Very cool. Right. Let's see. Sean Marshall says, got 10 miles in this AM, and boy, felt good in the cool mornings we have been having. Yeah, very cool. Awesome. I did 9 today, 5 by myself, and then my daughter wanted to go, and so like I only did 5 here, so that way we can go do 4 together over on the trail. And my knee started bothering me like halfway through, so that's why I'm thinking like I still need to. It's the same like thing that's kind of been happening. It just feels like an overuse injury. Of course, I still haven't consulted a medical professional about it because that's the kind of thing I'm bad at doing. I'm going to make a better effort at that. And so I just feel like, I'm going to take it easy for another couple more days, see how it goes. Martha says, I'll second low 40 to low 50 degrees for ideal running, not counting windshield, humidity, or other mitigating factors. I mean, I'm a cold weather runner. I like cold weather. My favorite like way to run is in like long pants, maybe tights, like a hoodie or some sort of like longer layer up top, and gloves and a hat, like a winter hat. Like that's how I like to run. Yeah, I mean like 2-inch shorts and a singlet are pretty cool, but I just prefer running like bundled up. I don't know. Gavin Braden got his first post-lockdown haircut today. It should shave a few seconds off the 5K time. Very cool. Very cool. Travis Rogan says, thoughts on the London Marathon? I'm excited for Showdown. Yeah, I'm excited for it too. And my understanding is they changed the course for the elites. It's going to be a looped course. So I think that's super awesome as well, because then it just gives people more opportunities to see. I mean, I feel like a marathon race is less interesting for the competitors as a looped course, but it's more interesting for spectators. I mean, not that I think there should be a lot of spectators there at the event, but I just remember from the Atlanta Marathon trials, like having that looped course was really cool to see from like a spectator perspective. And from the post-race interviews, not post-race, but like the interviews of competitors that I listened to, they like appreciated it too, because it gave you lots of opportunities to see like where everyone else was, because like there was an out and back, or even on a loop course, if it's banked, you get a chance to kind of like see behind you. So like not banked, but if there's a curve, then you might get a chance to see who's behind you. So I think that it could make for a really interesting race. I think it will be, I mean, hopefully that means it can be even flatter / faster. I mean, that'd be the thing to do. And the other thing that I hope for because of that is like, because there won't, I mean, not that it matters because the elites are so fast and they get sent out early anyway, but like, all the different sports are talking about like, what, we can't have fans, but what are some of the other things that we could do with cameras and audio visuals that we wouldn't have been able to do because it would have blocked a spectator's view? Like, people are thinking about like, all right, well, how do we take this like limitation and turn it into a strength to deliver it for people that can't be here? So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I would love to see, if it's a looped course, if we get some drones overhead. I don't know if they're thinking about that at all. That's just something that's the first thing that comes to my mind is like, can we get a drone that's fast enough to keep up with Bekele and Kipchoge? And I mean, here's the thing. We're all thinking that it's going to be Bekele and Kipchoge. What if there's someone else? What if it's someone else and not neither of those two, or one of those two and a third, or a third and fourth? You know what I mean? So it could be all sorts of stuff. But I would love to be able to see just some other types of angles that we don't normally see, because there's fewer people on the course. There's going to be fewer people on the course. It's looped, so that gives you some more opportunities for planning, capturing the race. So that I think it could be really, I think it could be as cool as it could be, given the circumstances. There's lots of opportunities. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. I don't know when it is, though. Anyone know? Is it still like September? Soon. So it's like soon. Lewis M says, hey, Mike, I sent a pic of the upcoming Ultra Boost 2021 on Instagram. What are your initial thoughts? Yeah, I saw that picture. I forget. You sent me a link to one of the news sources that like look at the Ultra Boost 2021. And it seems to be a substantial departure from what they did in 2020. So for 2020, I don't know. I haven't seen a Solar Boost for 20. Is there a Solar Boost 20 this year? I haven't seen it yet. Maybe I just haven't been paying attention. But it seems to me like the Ultra Boost 20 felt a lot like the Solar Boost 19. And it was trimmed down, less boost in the midsole, much more runnable. Felt like a daily trainer. I actually liked it this year. I mean, I don't dislike it. I didn't like Ultra Boost 19, but Ultra Boost 4.0 I really liked. So I mean, like, it just felt more like a running shoe. The 2021, from the looks of it, unless they're doing something else with that boost, it's gonna be a big, heavy behemoth that I don't think runners or casual wearers are really gonna love, unless it just ends up being super comfortable. But it's just like a giant fat stack of boost in the back, and it looks like it curves down to a really like relatively short forefoot midsole. So I'm excited. I think it's gonna they're trying to make Ultra Boost the boostiest of the boosty shoes again, which I feel like the Triumph 17 and 18 easily took that crown. So we'll see. It should be interesting. Let's see. All right. Jay Campo says, what's your take on Courtney Dauwalter's 500-mile endeavor? Crazy or crazy fun? I think it's both. I mean, I think for her at her level, it's like, what, I mean, like, is she undefeated? She's not undefeated in races, is she? But when she does win, she wins with such dominance that I feel like if that's your thing, you got to find, like, what's your next, like, challenge. And I think that's amazing for her. All right. Let's see. Steve says, I did easy 7 pace miles in endorphin shift today, and at about mile 3, got tingling / pins and needles in my toes for a bit. Shoes weren't tight. Any ideas? That usually, to me, is a signal that there's a lot of arch height and something's poking your arches. For me, that usually goes away after a run or two. That's, for me, like a break-in issue. So I would try and give him like another run, maybe 2 more runs and see how it goes. Unless you're worried about it's going to be a real big problem, then I would just, and if you can still return him now and you're like leaning that way, then do that. But for me, when I see that, maybe anyone else has a very different idea, I usually get like some numbness or tingling when the arch is touching my arch. My wife gets it a lot. For her, it doesn't always go away. For me, it usually does. So it's just something to keep in mind. Swiftbug says, Kofuzi, you going to grow out your hair, get a man bun? I mean, I'm trying. I feel like this is my last probably attempt at having long hair. And we'll see. We'll see if I can get into man bun territory. I think I need a trim though, because like this hair is like way too long compared to like what's up here, and so like the lengths are all funky. So far, like the closest I can do is like array, like triple bun, like 3 little buns. You know, that's all I can really get because the hair is just weird lengths. That's all. But we'll see. And then like if I can get a man bun and then it ends up looking silly, like I've tried it before. Like last summer I had relatively long hair and it just looked weird. So then I cut it short again because I was like, nah, it doesn't work for me. I just don't know if I have like the right head shape for a man bun. That's the thing. The Champion Ox says, you've been a great inspiration to me and I appreciate your insights. I'm 6'3" and 250 and running my first 26.2 next year in Pittsburgh. Well, that's awesome. Champion Ox, I think that's a really hilly course. Which, I mean, I'm sure you know, and you're used to that. Unless you're not from Pittsburgh and you're picking Pittsburgh as a destination race. But I'm not that familiar with the course. But having run in Pittsburgh before, relatively recent, like I think it was it wasn't last December. It was 2 Decembers ago. Wow, was it 2 Decembers ago already? I think it was. Maybe it was last December. I don't know. But having what feels like very recently run in Pittsburgh before, it is crazy hilly there, really hilly. So to do a race there, you got to be tough. I'm sure you could do it. Let's see. Martha says, Kofuzi, didn't Super Smalt or another club member say they were PT and offer to consult with you for free? Yeah, I have to reach out to Super Smalt. I'll see if I can contact her. And I know you, Martha, you sent me information on your PT. I just need to, follow up. Sometimes I have a problem with follow through. So the Faster 26.2 says 8 miles at threshold at 5 a.m. with 75 degrees Fahrenheit, which isn't too bad, but 95% humidity is a lot. It's been brutal in Florida. Can't wait until cooler temps. Yeah, I would say probably the exact same thing. because I remember it wasn't that different than that over here as well for morning temperatures. Maybe not at 5, but like at 7 o'clock it was like that here for a couple weeks. And that was hot. It was really hot. But an 8-mile threshold, though, that's a lot. That's a lot of work. Good work. Pete G 1980 says, "Hi Kofuzi, what's the best thing to eat after a long run?" I would say whatever your body is craving is the best thing to eat after a long run. For me, I like to have something with like sugar, salt, and proteins in it. So not necessarily just like a granola bar, because those tend to be pretty high in just carbs. But like, usually like recovery drinks or protein shakes will have a nice mix of all those things. If it can be like, depending on the run, a lot of my runs are at lower heart rate. So I feel like I try to replenish with a little bit of something that has a higher, like a plant fat in it, like seeds. So I like to have granola, like yogurt with some granola and a whole bunch of seeds and dried fruit. So like that usually for me is what I like. Is that the best? I'm not sure. I think a dietitian would be able to give you some better advice on that. But I also think it'll depend on what the run was. Maybe. I think. That's my hunch. Sody Mac says, "It's 90 degrees here and I crashed after work. No run for me here today." That's okay too. I mean, it's summertime. You got to take care of yourself. That's a lot of heat. In his Dunbar says, "Kofuzi, I may never rock the 2-inch shorts, but I'm fine on the beard front." Yeah, you are. That's funny. Very cool. Faster 26.2 says, "Well done on the MAF training. Is there a goal in mind on how low on pace you can go?" There isn't. What I would like to see, and like, I don't know if I'd ever like, give up on it, because it just seems to be an interesting way. Like right now I'm having fun running with it. For a long time I wasn't. But like at a certain point, I think like my ability to improve on it will go away. And so at that point I might need to tweak it and do some of like the aerobic intervals that Maffetone talks about. But I mean, that would be, if I had a need for that, that'd be like a great problem to have. But the goal ultimately, I think, is not necessarily a time, but like the idea that like I can't run my Maffetone heart rate number every day, because it'd be way too hard. Like my body would like, just be very likely to get injured. Like that's the kind of like level of proficiency or mastery that I'd like to have. I mean, right now I'm starting along that way where I feel like I don't try to hit like 145 in terms of my heart rate on average every day. I shoot for something a little bit lower because that's what feels easy. So I'm getting there, I think. How much more I'll progress from here, I'm not sure. I may have already hit kind of like a plateau in terms of my ability to progress with this style of training without substantially changing like lifestyle and diet and sleep and recovery habits and all that other stuff, which I'm generally just not like. That kind of stuff is too like expensive, air quotes, to do. Like I know I can do it, they're manageable, but I'm not like willing to put in that effort, and I'm okay with not reaping the rewards of that effort. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at on that. J8924 says, "Hi Kofuzi," and lots of eyes. "I just finished a 5K hiking running from Puerto Rico. Cheers." Awesome. Very cool. Javi, not Jay, sorry. Javi8924. Awesome. Henrik Viking says, "Hello guys from a hot Sweden." Cool. All right, let's see. Ed Chan says, "I recently watched a Kofuzi shoe review from January 2020, and pre-pandemic Kofuzi without facial hair looks like a 14-year-old boy." I've been looking back at some of the other videos too, because I've been looking at like old, like my old Maffetone videos, because I wanted to chart my progression for today's video, and then like I was looking at like the Triumph 17 videos recently, because I was looking at the Triumph 18, and I feel like I feel like a completely different person than that person. And it was like, like 100 days ago kind of thing. That being said, like the last 100 days have been very eventful for everyone. So I guess it's okay. Steven Gersdorf says, "Does anyone think the high heel stack height and long back flares are gimmicky and ugly?" Steven Gersdorf likes zero drop. I think that the heel flare thing, I think that was a trend that was really beautiful. I think it's falling out of favor, and I think it's gonna go away. But I think we'll still have like some semblances of that. Because remember, before like there was ever a Nike shoe with heel flares, Mo Farah was cutting the backs of his shoes, and I think a lot of people like had problems with like their Achilles rubbing. So I think it's a functional solution, which took on like a very aesthetic design kind of language. So I mean, I don't think it'll ever go away anymore, but I don't think we'll see it in like every other shoe like coming out. But in terms of high stack height, I like high stack height. I'm very comfortable with it. I like it. And I think like zero drop and high stack height are not mutually exclusive things. All of my zero drop shoes have higher stack height than most of my all of the zero stack height shoes have more stack height in the forefoot than most of my daily trainers. Almost all of my daily trainers. So I mean, I've only have 2 zero stack height shoes, this Ultra Superior and the Ultra Escalante, but they're like 24 millimeters in the forefoot. There's not a lot of shoes that have more than that. And I think the Superior is like 14 millimeters in the forefoot, which is pretty like standard daily trainer territory. Let's see. Martha says the effing heel flare doesn't serve any purpose beyond the more subtle versions, such as in the Brooks Hyperion Tempo. Just extra weight they could cut off. Well, that's interesting. It'll be funny if, like, in like everyone's videos right now, like if you watch a lot of the YouTube videos, which I'm assuming everyone here does, like me, on shoes, everyone's like, if they could have cut some of the rubber off of the outsole, we would have saved some weight. I think, Martha, you're onto something. That if like people cut off the heel flare, that would save a lot of weight. I also think what would save a lot of weight is in terms of like the high heel stack height though, like the flare that comes off the back of the shoe. I mean, the Hoka 910 or the 109, I think it's 109. The Hoka 109 is like a functional heel like cushion, like the midsole flare. But a lot of the shoes just have a lot of like junk in the trunk for the sake of aesthetics, kind of like a lot of what's going on like the Nova Blast, for example. I know a lot of that is useful and practical, but a lot of it isn't. Like, I wonder how much that like extraness weighs. You know, it's a good point, Martha. Not really. Hank Aaron says, cut my sugar and seed oil and your knee will get better. You think is it an inflammation thing? Trying to think of how much seed oil I have in my diet. I'm not sure how to measure that because I'm assuming it's probably just in a lot of stuff that I eat. Chris Yao says the heel flare makes me look fast. Well, I will agree with you on that. The heel flare does make you look. I mean, I think it looks pretty, but I think that like the epitome of the heel flare, like the Cadillac, like what did they call it from the Cadillacs from like the 50s? The tail fins, whale fins. What were those fins called on those giant fins that were on the back of caddies? Like the running version of that, I think, is the New Balance 1080 version 10. That heel flare is just gigantic. It's the biggest one I think that's out there. Raynor says, Kofuzi, are you going to review the Beacon 3? Apparently they released them today. All right, I'm gonna go have to try and buy one, and I'll see if I can get some because I've been waiting for that shoe for a long time. I really do want to review that one. I loved Beacon 1. Beacon 2 was great too. I felt like the midsole was the same and slight changes to the upper, which I thought were fine. I didn't think the upper needed that much changing, but it was, an update. And then Beacon 3, I'm hoping they just still didn't change all that much because I just like it. Yeah. Jonathan Fan says, have you thought about the new Clifton 7? Yes. I thought about it so much that I accidentally ordered it twice. So I've got to return a pair of them. So I have 2 pairs of them sitting in here right now. But I'll get to that eventually. Not eventually, but soon. Like, I was going to run in them. I'm trying not to review too many shoes while I still feel like I'm in, like, recovery zone. Because I feel like that's not necessarily the most fair to the shoes. Because then it makes it harder for me to put it through, like, the variety of paces and try it at different kind of, like, speeds and things. That's all. But it'll be soon, I think. Let's see. Roadrunner Review says, I would like to see less structure and faster shoes like the Speed. Yeah, I agree. I think that we don't need as much of like the stuff in the Speed shoes. I just want it to be like a floppy upper. Kind of like Roger Bannister's kangaroo leather spikes that sold for however many hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like that. Not quite that floppy, but I could live with that. As long as the laces are not stretchy laces. Just take out, I don't like stretchy laces. Let's see. Someone was saying, Frank LaHillier says, I'm pretty sure the heel flare helps on downhills. I think I could see that because then you're like leaning back a little bit and like the angle you're hitting. I could see that. Tony Macias says it's also for aerodynamics, trying to limit the amount of drag the foot is creating. Nike talked about this during the original Breaking 2. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what Nike says. And I've talked to different Nike reps that have said the same thing, that like aerodynamically it's sculpted that way so there's less drag. Because, I mean, there's only so much of you going through the air, and though to the extent that you can minimize that drag, that's the idea. But you know what I haven't seen? I haven't seen anyone in a wind tunnel before. So, like, I feel like if that were true, like, they would have done the thing with, like, the little smoke thing where you could see, like, the air, like, coming around, you know? But I haven't seen that. So, I mean, that kind of makes me wonder how true is that? Because even if that were just, like, a pure marketing stunt and, like, the drag, like, were maybe just only visibly noticeably different but maybe not functionally different, I feel like we would have seen that. But I don't think I've seen that. But yeah, that's what they say, and that's my understanding of the reason why the trend started. Let's see. Let's see. Rainrunner says, does the heel flare help prevent little rocks and detritus from getting into your shoe? Oh, that's a good point. I don't know. I've had that happen to me with a couple of shoes that didn't have heel flares lately, and I was like, this is really annoying. But I don't know if it actually helps or not. B. Rutland says, hopefully the insoles will stay in place in the Beacon 3. My only issue. Really enjoying that shoe. Yeah, do you remember the year that the Beacon 1 came out? That year, like every other New Balance shoe had a problem with when you ran in it, the insole would start slipping out the back of the shoe. I had one almost completely come out while just regularly running. And then last year, so I guess that was 2 years ago, last year with the Beacon 2, I didn't have that problem, or I didn't have that problem with any New Balance shoes. But the year before that, I had the problem with the Beacon 2, the 890 version 7. I'm trying to think if there were any other New Balance shoes that I ran in that had that problem. But it seems like they fixed it. Maybe they just got better, more glue. Because when I just used spray adhesive and I glued them back in, and then it was fine. Let's see. J Page says the Beacon 3 looks a little alien, but I like it. Ordering it now. Yeah, it's like a weird design, but like all their designs are like kind of weird this year. That's just kind of what they decided to go with. Sean Marshall asks, isn't minimalist style the goal of Atreyu? Yeah, I don't think they would call themselves a minimalist shoe, because I feel like when you say minimalist, that means not only zero stack height, but also low, not only zero drop, but also low stack height. I don't think that's necessarily what they're going for, but I think they are going for like a more like stripped down approach, so less overlays, less stuff. And that extends from not only the shoe product itself, but also to like the purchasing model and how it all gets distributed and things like that. So I think maybe is the answer to that question. Steven Gersdorf says, I was doing over 50 miles a week a couple months ago and my back went out. Tried CBD for the first time and the pain went away. And Steven Gersdorf says, I'm 6 years old. Rainrunner says, I'm a fan of CBD. And Sean Marshall says, me too. You know, I've never tried any of the CBD products. I know of a couple. I only know of a couple people that use it. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that do, but people that like I know personally that use it. There's only a couple. I'm just not that familiar with it, and it always just kind of seemed like, well, you know who else uses it? Matt Chittum. I think Matt Chinham also uses some. I think it's a sponsor. They're a sponsor for his podcast as well, like the product he uses. But I know that there are people that use it. I've just never looked into it. I've had a couple of CBD companies reach out to me. Maybe it's worth looking into. Ryan Bradley says, any idea when the Meta Racer is out? I'm a big fan of the glide rides, and I cannot wait for the carbon version. You know, I thought that the Meta Racer is out now in the U.S. because I was looking at Emma Bates had a post on Instagram, and there was a new person that was joining. Like it's like Idaho something like her, like their team that's out there for ASICs. And she was running with a new training partner, and they were both running in the Meta Racers. And they were saying that they made the post because it was coming out today. So I think they're out now in the U.S. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Yeah, and then I happened to run on, and it did my math test in the Meta Racers for today's video, and I ran them yesterday, like out of just pure coincidence. I wish I could say it's because I worked with ASICs and it was all coordinated, so there would be like a multifaceted, like very savvy sort of product launch date, but it wasn't. It was just complete coincidence. Yeah. Ross W says, I used to just buy black on black ASICs, but I'm fully embracing the alien look. Crazy colors, 40mm stack height. Let's get weird. Yeah, that's good. That's a great attitude to have. I love that. Good job, Ross. Mr. Random says, the team at Believe in the Run got some info on the New Balance today saying that the foam in the midsole of the Beacon 3 is fresh foam. Yeah, I think that there were people that were sending me screenshots from the New Balance UK website, and they've had this shoe for like 2 months already. And based on that, it said that the midsole on the Beacon 3 was fresh foam and not fresh foam X, which kind of everyone was thinking that it was going to go that way, because when the 1080 version 10 came out with fresh foam X, we were like, oh, that must mean that they're definitely just going to push it through the line. But it's just the fresh foam, just the fresh, like that. Not that that's a bad thing. So I think that's what it is. Let's see. Yeah, Rainrunner says, in terms of CBD, it definitely helps to live in a state where all of it is legal. Yeah, but isn't our CBD products, I mean, this is how little I know about it, are CBD products regulated in the same way that, say, like recreational marijuana products are regulated? Or not regulated, I guess, is like the better word for it. Because I know that even before, like, Illinois kind of changed its position on it, on like recreational use, people were using it in Illinois, like in Chicago. But I mean, just because people were buying it from like commercial sources and in the regular chain of commerce doesn't mean it wasn't technically illegal. So I actually don't know. Jay Pay says, probably a good time to get Beacon 2 on Joe's New Balance outlet, $50 to $70. That is a fantastic price. That is an amazing price. Maybe it's time to do like a cheap shoe roundup. I mean, I'm not going to go out and buy all these shoes, but maybe I can make a post about like, hey, here's some prices. But the thing is, a lot of times when shoes are cheap, they go fast. They go faster than I can make the video. And then if I make the video, even if I can make the video and they're still in stock, by the time like a month later, people are still watching the video and they're like, hey, none of these shoes are in stock anymore. So that's kind of the thing. All right. Michael Copera says, got a Nathan Trail Mix running vest. Been trying to figure out the right soft flask for the front pockets. Tried a 500 and 250 mil Hydra Pack, and both pop right out at the very beginning of my runs. Is there a trick to this or just wrong flasks? Yeah, I've only used, I think, the soft flasks that have come with a vest before. I've never tried really mixing and matching, because I think like they're kind of a lot of them are designed not super specifically, but at least like within the brand of vest for each other. Because like the ones that I have from my Camelback, I don't think it would fit in like an Ultimate Direction vest or like in my Nathan vest. and like the ones in my Nathan vest, I think would sink in all the way to the bottom, and I'd have to like I'd be like digging them out if I put them in my Camelback. So I think maybe that's what it is. Yeah, I don't know. But I've just been having a lot of problems lately with front loading water bottles. It's just, I don't know if like my body shape has just changed somehow, where like I just can't cinch down the vest tight enough, and everything is just like sloshing and like chafing and like jumping around all over the place. So I've just kind of given up on like front bottles, and I'm just going with the pack in the back. Rainrunner says it depends on the state. Like Washington doesn't sell just CBD products. You need a medical license, I think. Huh. Okay. And Martha says CBD is everywhere, and I think that's true. I think I've seen it at like race expos and stuff now too. She says that Apothecana lotion she mentioned above can be ordered nationwide from Denver. Maybe I'll take a look at that. Maybe I'll just rub some on my knee. You know what I would have done if this was like 1995? I would have put some Tiger Balm on that. And if it was if it was like the year 2000, then I'd put Bengay. Because that's in fact what I would put on my legs during those years. I guess maybe the 2020 version of that is CBD products. Did anyone else use that, or is that just me? I remember my cousin came over from Korea in like the early 90s, and he brought, for some reason, with him a bunch of Tiger Balm, and BALM, if I'm saying it funny. He brought over a bunch of Tiger Balm, and he just swore by this stuff all the time. And we would play a lot of basketball, like most Korean kids growing up in New Jersey did, and basically all over the U.S. And we would always like, oh, I'm sore today. Or if we'd go to the like workout, lift weights after we were sore, we'd be like, oh, hand me that Tiger Balm. I got to put that on because I'm sore. It was funny. It was like, it was what is the movie? My Big Fat Greek Wedding. You put the Windex on it. And we were just like, Tiger Balm. Put it on there. You know, that's what we were doing. Let's see. Steven Gersdorf says, Kofuzi, do you think more money in the sport, ... making it more like a professional American sport with sponsorships, commercial potential, celebrities, and money would ruin our sport or be good? You know, I think that overall, I think it would be good for the sport. I think that there would be a lot of growing pains. I think it would require a lot of discipline that I think the sport currently doesn't have, like political willpower, not political, but you know, overall like willpower that currently the sport doesn't have enough of, specifically in terms of doping, right? And so the more money that comes into it, the more incentive there is to gain any sort of edge that's possible. But I forget what book I was reading. It was about like the addition of money. I forget the name, but it was addition of money to professional sports of a variety of different ones, talking about like Jack Nicklaus in golf and IMG in terms of like the sports agency, and like the way that golf started taking in professional money, specifically TV rights as well. Tennis also went out of their way to make sure that professionals had to be amateurs. Like that doesn't make sense, but they couldn't like get paid to be able to compete in Wimbledon and the French Open, US Open, things like that. And then they realized like once you let like regular people who may not be able to sustain themselves to be like unpaid professionals, it would increase the quality and caliber of the sport, and then more people would become interested and things like that. So I think in the same way that like tennis made a big mistake for a very long time in like just shunning people from accepting money to participate in professional events, I think opening up the sport to more avenues of making a livelihood from it, I think are going to be good for the sport. But there are, you know, a lot of potential pitfalls and speed bumps that could happen along the way. Mark Davidson says, I haven't seen any carbon shoes for, I think, was it overpronators? Sorry, it just moved as soon as I saw it. So I think it was the shoe. I can't find it now. Oh, there it is. Are there seen any carbon shoes for overpronators yet? Are there any? I don't think that there are. I don't think that there is like a stability speed shoe or like an overpronator speed shoe, as far as I'm aware. I think that for a lot of people, when you're running much faster, it's less of an issue for a lot of people. Otherwise, it can be corrected by inserts, like firm insoles that you could put, like aftermarket insoles that you could put in the shoe. Other people think that the carbon is supportive enough to kind of help level things out. So I think that's kind of where it goes. The two things that I don't see in the speed or like racer shoe category are wide sizes and stability. I don't know if it's just the market isn't there for it or if it's not necessary as much at like those kinds of like effort levels. I'm not sure. Ross W says, if you do a cheap shoe roundup, you know what tempo shoe you'll have to include. Of course, I'll put SL20. You got to put money in the jar now because we said SL20. Yeah. Yeah, Motivation Theory Running says, how's it going, man? He says, same issue with older shoes and reviewing them. You can't turn it around quick enough. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Bertley Guest says, he squeezes 600 milliliter Aeonji flasks in my 300 ml pockets of the Nathan Speed Vest. It stretches. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Harish R. Rao says, hey Kofuzi, my Triumph 17 arrived just today. Loved your video on that and the comparison video of all the max cushion shoes. Excited to run in them this evening. Well, I hope you enjoy. I mean, I really enjoyed running in the 17. I racked up the miles like that, like super fast in that shoe because every day I wanted to run in them. It's good. My cow says, only women's beacons on Joe's New Balance outlet. I think that people know about the beacons. And so like anytime they go on sale, like they get snatched up. I think that's what's going on. Not Really Hank Aaron says, my favorite YouTube channel is of two Cambodian ladies cooking show. I'll watch that. That sounds pretty cool. There was a show called Two Fat Ladies. Do anyone remember that show? I don't know. Let's see. I think we got some. I got to scroll down here. I think we got some comments on the Tiger Bomb that I wanted to get to. Although, T. Davis says, CBD is definitely the 2020 Tiger Bomb / Bengay. Lewis M. says, Tiger Bomb is spicy, icy hot. CB76 uses the Vicks. Very cool. Larry Lawrence says, Biofreeze. Oh, yeah. I used to use a lot of that in college. Yeah. I'd spray that on like before every meet. Frank LaHoyer says, I think people stopped using Bengay because of aspirin overdoses. Is that what happened? Is that what happened to that product? I just thought, oh, interesting. Mark Shane Coco says, I love Tiger Balm. I didn't realize there were different kinds. Patrick Funk says, Tiger Balm is the best. And Martha says, edibles are the only way to go. So we've got a nice, I think two categories kind of merged here. I think it's nice. Interesting discussion today. Charles Ventura says, what hydration bladder do you use? Any recommendations? I have two things that I enjoy. I like the Flip Belt water bottle. That's great for most of my runs, like an hour and a half or less, unless it's really hot. But for regular, not the hottest part of summer, but summer running and anything below that, an hour and a half or less, that is nice and small. It holds about 12 ounces. It's good enough for me. The other one, I've been running in a Camelback Zephyr, which has a 2-liter pack. And the 2 liters is, for about as long as I'll ever need. Could easily handle 4 hours for me. So those are the two that I really like. I've also just picked up the Ultimate Direction Marathon Vest. It has 2 10-liter, smaller bottles, hard sides, that go in the front. That one's pretty good. I haven't run fast in it yet. I've only been taking it when I go out with my daughter and she rides and I run. So it's been kind of slower paces. So I'll wait till I go on a much longer run before I really kind of have an idea on that. Motivation Theory Running says, I used Bengay and Icy Hot. I don't think I've ever used Icy Hot, but I do love Icy Hot. That's the one that Shaq does the commercials for, right? Yeah, I think it is. I like that. Sean Marshall says, now Gold Bond is a different story. Yes, I used to use a lot of Gold Bond. Yeah. Let's see. what else we got down here? Let's see. Martha says, oh yeah, like Steven Gersdorf just said, a lower stack plated shoe like the Adizero Pro might be a stable plated shoe because of ground feel. Oh, I could see that. Yeah, that makes sense. Steve Gersdorf says, how about good old ice? Just ice. Jeff Ellie says, hype ice? That's funny. Steven says he used to ice every single run. I used to ice back in college very frequently. Part of it was like kind of everyone just did it. It was kind of like where everyone hung out after practice. You go to the trainer and they would have these like Dixie cups half filled with ice, and then you peel it off, and so you'd have this like a handle for a big block of ice, and you would just rub it along like your shin or along your muscles. And I would do that a lot on my shins and my Achilles. But I try not to ice too much these days. But I also don't like use like Tiger Balm or Bengay. I've never tried CBD products, so I've never tried those. But with my knee, I guess maybe it's worth a shot. I mean, I think I need to like talk to someone first. I'm gonna stop like figuring out ways to like avoid that. But I think I'll do that. Let's see. Someone asked a question about the SL20. Harish Rao says, would you say the SL20 pairs well with the Triumph 17 to cater to all different kinds of runs? I think that's a good 1-2 punch. I like that quite a bit. That'd be nice. Jeff Elliott says, we used to use a lot of Absorbing Junior in high school. Oh, I'm not familiar with that. Huh. Rain Runner said, when did foam rolling become the norm? I started foam rolling. I mean, not that I do it a lot. I still have this. I've only ever bought one foam roller, and I bought it back in 2010. And mine is just a piece of uncolored, it's a cylinder of styrofoam. That's all it is. But it's, a certain level of hardness suitable for foam rolling. I did that in 2010. And I think that they were kind of new back then, but I could be wrong on that. Let's see. Oh yeah, and his number says, Two Fat Ladies TV program, Clarissa Dixon Wright and Jennifer Patterson, now both no longer with us. That's a shame, because that show was good. I used to watch a lot of cooking shows on PBS before there was a such thing as Cooking Network, because there was Food Channel, and then there was Cooking, which I felt like was just Canadian cooking shows rebranded, and some British cooking shows rebranded, or just with new commercials put in them, like licensed for an American market, but. Before all that, even before like in the early days of Cooking Channel, I would still watch a lot of cooking shows on PBS. So I watched a lot of Jack Papan, Cooking My Way. That I watched that show for years. Usually I would just watch it a little bit hungover on a Saturday, and that would be like the way that I would like just veg out a little bit. I don't watch college football, so I didn't have much to watch. So I watch a lot of that. And so this was years ago, decades even. So I watched a lot of that. That's when I watched Two Fat Ladies. Was that when like Naked Chef, Jamie Oliver's first show? Was that ever on PBS, or is that in the early days? I think that's early days of Food Channel. But so like lots of old shows that I used to watch. I mean, he used to have Julia Child on all the time, and from then they started watching before like that Julia Child movie like came out, like that biopic. But before then, she would be on his show, and they would still occasionally show reruns on a lot of the PBS networks of her show. That's kind of like where I learned to cook. Let's see. David Sachs says, get a massage gun. It's a game changer. We've talked about massage guns on the channel. I've used them before, and I think they're nice. I'm not going to buy one because I'm sure that I'm going to end up hurting myself with it. It's kind of like the same reason I would never buy a pressure washer. Not that I own a home or need one living in we're not in a high rise now, but like normally I live in a high rise. Not that I need a pressure washer, but the reason why I would never get a pressure washer is because I would end up like pressure washing out like grout and like normal things that are supposed to exist. in like outdoor landscaping and on siding and stuff like that. And so like for the same reason, like I would just be like, oh, I gotta get that. I can do more. I can strip away more stuff. I feel like I would do the same thing with the massage gun and end up hurting something that needed rest and not being touched. That's kind of where I'm really nervous about that. Let's see. Patrick Funk said, not sure if those cooking shows titles would work nowadays. I think they probably still would. But yeah, maybe it's a time that's passed. Rainrunner says, I'd love a non-elite tech shirt. I would too. I really would too. I'm waiting for a Teespring to be able to include that. They just, for whatever reason, haven't offered that. I don't know if like they just can't print them or it's too expensive. I'm not sure what the reason is. Because you could go to places like Vistaprint and get them done. You can go to t-shirt shops and get those kinds of things done. But I'd like a print-on-demand service that can do it. And if it can connect with the YouTube account, which is what the Teespring stuff does, I'd prefer that too, because it's just easier to have it all in line. I don't like Teespring at all. It's really hard to use. It's annoying, and they don't have the kind of product variety that I'm looking for, but it's convenient. So, yeah. Oops, my Uber just got here. Later, y'all. Have a great evening, everyone. See you tomorrow. Cool. I actually think that's a probably good time to leave it. I've been having so much fun here chit-chatting with you guys. It's already 3:51, so we went a little bit longer than I normally like to go. I don't like to kind of drag it on too long, but apparently, very clearly, that's what I've done. I've had so much fun talking with you guys, so thanks for checking in today. Tomorrow, I don't think I'm going to do a video tomorrow, but we'll do a live stream, same time, 3 p.m. But until then, hopefully you guys are safe out there on all your runs. Have a good Friday night run or a good Saturday morning run, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, everybody.